regarding Adin Ross and Shaquille O'Neal. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, why is this story significant? And it's important to ask that question because oftentimes when you are a content creator in the space of, let's say, MMA, or in this case, celebrity gossip, and even just political jargon gossip, such as people that follow everything that goes on in C-SPAN and MSNBC and all of these other political channels, such as Politico. The list goes on. The Economist. You guys know that particular niche, right? If you are within that space, yes, that is what you are going to follow. And that is what you are going to talk about. And if you are in that content creator space of that genre, well, oftentimes you're going to be labeled as a gossiper of some sort, right? But I tend to disagree on that, and probably because I have a different way of going about my content. For one, yes, do I do MMA content? Do I do content about California politics? Yes. Do I do content about sports or other forms of combat sports, such as boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu? Yes, all of these things are covered. I cover all of these things. But there's a bigger picture that I want people to understand, which is a life story and a life lesson within these life stories that we are talking about. So it's often important to try and understand these particular matters at hand. Okay, so it is important to try and obtain a life lesson from every single story that you gather, from every single intel, from every single information that you grasp from any story that you're covering. It's always important to understand that there is a life lesson and a life story out of it. You want to know why? Here's why. It's important to understand that there is a life lesson in everything, because whatever it is that a person is going through, whether they are mega celebrities or people that are living on Skid Row, is that there is something that you can learn from them. For example, Tupac, as iconic as he is not really, how do I say this, a unicorn in terms of his life and how he died and how he went about conducting himself when he was alive, okay? It's not unique, Tupac's situation. In fact, all these rappers that you know that have been killed, Pop Smoke, PNB Rock, and by the way, that also correlates to all of this. You posted up in a park. I am, my man. Had a good little stretch this morning, had some, good little workout in the park. So I figured, why not do it where I'm at? Caleb says, hi, how you doing? So yeah, all of this is going to tie into the Big U and the Shaquille O'Neal situation as well. But what I'm trying to give in context with this intro is that there is a life lesson in every single situation that you can learn from gossiping stories or news articles and things of that nature. There is always a life lesson with that. And in the Tupac's case, as I was mentioning, he's not really all that unique. You see, there are many people that have lived his life very similar to how he lived and also very similar to how he died. But in between that, you can always learn a life lesson within Tupac's life trajectory and chronological order of how he had lived and how he had died. There's always something that you can learn. So now, going back to the story and the topic at hand with Shaquille O'Neal and Adin Ross. Now, for those of you that have seen the video of Adin Ross and Shaquille O'Neal, what happened? Adin Ross is a content creator, a streamer. He comes from this world of everything is a joke, everything is hee hee ha ha, everything is funny and things of that nature. But he later realizes and thinks that maybe he can try and provoke Shaquille O'Neal. You look at Shaquille O'Neal, obviously he's a very imposing human being, even though he is a little bit older now, and the athleticism, if it was ever there, because in my humble opinion, he was just a big guy that got by with his size and his strength, and as a result, he is where he's at. Unlike, let's say, Allen Iverson, somebody that had to really hone down their skills in order to compete with these bigger guys, right? But that's neither here or there. He's an imposing guy nonetheless at any age Shaquille O'Neal is at. So, with that imposing type of uh, persona and aura that Shaquille O'Neal has, why would you go and agitate him? Well, obviously, that is the main reason why Adin Ross decided to do exactly what he did. You see, if he goes and he agitates Shaquille O'Neal, what happens? After the agitation, he gets a reaction, and not only that, all that hard earned money that he paid for to sit in a UFC front row cage side, which costs about maybe $4,000 to $6,000, becomes all worth it because now he can monetize off of that. Well, Shaq says, not so fast. I'm going to go and sue you. And then people are wondering, or they shouldn't really wonder, why Shaquille O'Neal would do this. He's not a thug. He's not a gangster in any kind of way. In fact, that's the reason why he got extorted by Big U in LA. And that's also the reason why he became a sheriff just right after he played in the NBA. Okay, what do we have here? Mime2 says, nah, Shaq, Hall of Fame, rare breed. Urban Brian Rizzo says, okay, well, that is your opinion on that matter. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a lot of big men in Shaq's time, but they were not Shaq. I mean, there was Patrick Ewing, there was Luke Longley, who played in the Chicago Bulls back in 1996 during Jordan and Dennis Rodman's time. So they were all the same size, but they were not all the same talent. So maybe you have something there. Mime2 says, Aiden has always been that guy trying to dip his toes where it's not supposed to be. Correct. And you know what? He also tries to come off as very disarming in some kind of way, right? And Adin Ross tries to portray himself as a guy that is non-threatening, but yet at the same time will go out of his way to literally disrespect you. And this is where Shaq comes in. Shaq says, not so fast. I'm not going to deal with a thing like that. And you know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go and I'm going to sue you because that's what civilized people do. That's what civilians do. Now, for those that are not in a gangster world or you're not a cop, they would call you a civilian. For those that are not in the military and people that are opposite of the military, then you are what you would be considered a civilian. Or if you were in Iraq, you would be considered an insurgent fighting force. But that's neither here or there. So that's what Shaq is. Shaq decided, I'm going to go and sue you. So after he goes and he sues, so after Shaq goes and sues Adin Ross, what's going to happen out of this situation? Maybe not much. I mean, you're talking about dudes that are super millionaires, right? And if you have that type of money and you have that type of expenditure that really is nothing to you, then by all means, it's just tossing it up to content, which by the end of the day is really what Adin Ross is all about. See, you got to understand something about Adin Ross, right? This guy is, yes, just like what Mime2 here said, Adin has always been that guy trying to dip his toes where it's not supposed to be. And why does he do that? Because that's what content creators do. That's what it comes down to when it's trying to push the limits. Now, look at Logan Paul. Okay? You've seen what happened to him. He was a Vimeo star, and then he got into YouTube and things of that nature. He had to constantly up the ante every time, up the ante every time. And it's gotten to the point where these guys are so mainstream now that you even forget that they've done foolish videos like this. So, what does that tell you? That tells you that even though in the modern time right now and today, even though if Jake or Logan or any of those guys are no longer known for being pranksters or anything like that anymore, that tells you that being a prankster works to get you up in the mainstream. Okay? So, in other words, it may not seem like the most popular option right now, to act or behave that way, but you can't lie and say that none of these types of behaviors aren't incentivized in a certain matter. And they are. They are absolutely incentivized. If they were not incentivized, then why else would somebody like KSI become such a mainstream hit the way that he is, right? Matthew Play to Minecraft here says, would you rather see a tree grow or no? Oh man, you were going to try to set me up with that one, Matthew. Good job, my man. Nice try, nice try. But yeah, reading it out loud, what you said, reading it out loud would be very problematic. But leaving it on the chat, it's okay because we understand the message that you're trying to say, but at the same time, we're also uh, understanding that it's not against community guidelines to have that written in that type of form. But saying it out loud is definitely a violation of community guidelines. And for those of you that are wondering what I'm talking about right now, it's the latest comment from Matthew Plays Minecraft. Just read what he says. It's not illegal to read it. So, in other words, it's not illegal to read it, but it's also yeah, not. It's also not kosher to say it out loud. The message was he's trolling you. Okay, yes, I thank you for that observation, Uban, Brian Rizzo. Space Juice says, okay, well, Muhammad Khalid asks, who is the MMA goat? So to address Space Juice, right? Um, I'm not even going to read your comment. I'm just going to have people read the comments for me, right? Because obviously I'm the one that's being featured right now. You're the one that's watching. So as a result of that, yeah, I'm just going to address you and have people read what you say and make people understand how ridiculous what you're trying to say by me trying to fire back at you with this. My brother, I do better in this country than most people that have been natives here or people that are so-called born citizens. That's a fact. Okay. So for you to tell someone to get out of a situation where they're doing better than everybody shows that you're nothing more than a hater. So understand this. If you're one of these people that tells other people, oh, go back to your country or this and that, 9 times out of 10, you're talking to somebody that's doing better than you. Maybe that Indian doctor who has a better house than you, better job. That Chinese immigrant who came here with more assets than you, more money than you, more in the bank than you. That Arab guy who's from a royal family that does better than you. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's really the character that you show is the type of character that is low class, uneducated, and quite frankly, just jealous of everybody that is doing better than you. Uban Brian Rizzo says trolls pulling up now. Yeah, that's perfect, bro. You don't need to say all that. You ain't Indian or Chinese nor an Arab royal. Okay, no, no, I'm neither of those things. I mean, obviously, I'm Arab, but I'm not, an Arab royal, to any degree. But yeah, you're right. Um, but that's the bottom line. Space Juice is that I think that I do better than most Americans out here, and you know what? Yeah, man, I'm not here to debate that with you in any kind of way. James Dillon says, just come here legally, don't commit crimes, and it's cool. Yeah, hey, James Dillon got the right idea right there, my man. Shout out to James Dillon. That is the right idea. You come here legally, okay? Again, I don't really have a dog in that particular fight, right? If you're coming here illegally, that's not my business, and you know what? I'm not a snitch or any, thing to that degree. So as a result of that, uh, it's not my job to go and lock these people up or deport anybody. But me personally, I came here legally. I got all the types of papers and this and that. I am a citizen. My whole family is a citizen, and that's all you really need to know. And here I am creating content in beautiful Northern California, which is what? In the jurisdiction of America. And I couldn't be more happier. So, shout outs to James Dillon on that. What's up with that beard too? Uh, I don't understand what is the question with like the choices of beards or this and that. It's funny that you're asking me about a beard, but let's say if you ran up on, some white biker dude that has a beard or this and that, would you be asking him the same question? Would you be asking some farm, hillbilly white boy that has a long beard similar to mine, or maybe a white Amish person? Would you ask them that same thing? I don't know. I don't think you would, but I think the reason why you're doing that is because you're trying to somehow elicit some kind of response out of me. And as a result of that, well, I understand. He says, no mustache reminds me of them Islamic people. Well, that's exactly what it is. That's the reason why we don't have a mustache, my friend, is because it is a way for us to, well, there's a hygiene, aspect of it as well. But then there's also, a religious component of identification and, understanding who is who and what is what. So, but yeah, man, shout out to Space Juice because you know what? Listen, like I said, right? Any of you that come on my live chat and anything like that, you're welcome to say whatever you want to say. However, you also got to understand that by me allowing you to say what you want to say, you're also allowing yourself to be part of a civil discourse that talks about what are the right ideas and debate about them by giving metric, objective reasoning to our responses. So there you have it, right? You are allowed freedom of speech, but at the same time, your ass is going to get checked for facts, and that's just how we're going to do and go about it. So going back to the story at hand with Shaquille O'Neal and Adin Ross, right? So once again, Shaquille O'Neal is not a thug. He's not any of these types of things or any types of stereotype that you would have of a black male of any sort, right? Nothing like that. In fact, this is the reason why he's acting in this type of course. Now, here's another situation that Adin Ross ran across with somebody else in LA that was completely a different situation. Okay, hit the like button right now if you want me to tell you a story about Adin Ross getting into it with some Crips down in LA. So here we go, right? What is this? James Dillon says, thoughts on people saying they hate America but want to come here and live here? Well, you know what? That's a very good question, James Dillon. I love that question. One Love says, so if you wasn't born here, why not go back? One Love says, well, One Love, I'm going to tell you, I come from an extremely war-torn region of Libya. So, you try living there. Prior to all of that, obviously under Gaddafi, you could have your own political opinions about Gaddafi. I certainly do. But the man took care of his people in a way where he shared the wealth of the country and provided it for the people in ways that many people are just never going to understand if you didn't live there. So that is why. But I want to answer James Dillon's question right here, right? Thoughts on people saying why they hate America and want to come here and live here. So, James, that's a very good question. And I'm going to answer it with this, right? It's a very complicated answer. And I'm going to tell you why. For one, are there people out there that come from refugee war-torn countries that come here and are thankful to come here? Yes, they are. Are there people that come from destitute situations from around the world and then they come here and live a better life? Yes, there are. However, does that also equate to, let's say, the criticism that they have for the government? Because ultimately, what many people have against America is not so much of the great movies that are made here or the particular products that are better in America than elsewhere. Like, for example, obviously, this is an MMA channel, so let's just call it what it is. America has the best MMA in the world right next to the Russians and the Dagestanis, and Bo Nickel will absolutely vouch for that idea, right? So it is not America that people hate necessarily, it is the government. And you know what? These people who have criticisms for the government, they're not that different than the MAGA, the liberal, or the libertarian types, right? They're not really that different. They have a grievance that may be different or similar to yours. So I think it's more like misdirected hatred, if that explains it, James Dillon. Please respond back and let me know if I answer that question to the best of my ability, my man. And then James WT here says, sometimes I feel like a black woman trapped in a white filled with. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's an interesting comment right there by James White. Okay, so just remember, guys, keep the comments respectful. Obviously, that's good banter on James White. Obviously, there are some things that I can read, but then there are some things that I can only allow on the chat. That's something I can allow on the chat, but it's not something I'm going to read out loud because it would just make me sound very ridiculous. So, again, very good questions. So let's keep them coming on this live chat, right? While we also talk about the topic at hand. So, Aiden Ross, we're going to talk about Aiden Ross and his conflict that he had with some LA Crips. So there's this guy named AD, right? He used to be a No Jumper co-host, not to be mistaken with Brick Baby, who's currently locked up with Big U, right, on the Rolling 60s, charges that were going on, right? So AD got on a live stream. He has his own live stream. He's been doing his own podcast after he departed with Adam 22 and No Jumper. And then what had happened was that he went on with Adin Ross at a live stream. They started talking ish or this and that. And AD said something to the effect, hey, you know what? Security gets popped all the time, B. Security gets popped all the time, B. And you know what Adin Ross said? He's like, you know what? You guys really want to go throw away your ishy little lives or this and that? Well, go ahead, go to jail or this and that. So basically, fighting them as a civilian because you know what? If you're a gangster and you're threatening other gangsters, they're not going to respond to you in that kind of manner, right? They're going to respond to you in a very aggressive manner, in a matter where they are ready to fight, in a matter where they are ready to throw hands with you. And that is primarily the reality of that situation, right? But you're dealing with Adin Ross. As I mentioned earlier with Shaquille O'Neal, what was Shaquille O'Neal? Shaquille O'Neal is nothing more than a civilian. He's a civilian, and not only that, he's a guy that became a cop when he left the NBA. He became a sheriff somewhere in Florida, which, by the way, leads me to the story of Big U extorting or allegedly extorting Shaquille O'Neal. Now, look, here's the thing with Big U, right? I'm not going to speak on an open case that is going on. I'm not going to do that at all. All of these things are alleged accusations on Big U, but what I will say is that historically, it is not that uncommon for gangs in LA to do that to celebrities. So, in other words, these are the type of celebrities that want to hang out in the hood. Now, think about the type of celebrities that want to hang out in the hood. Do you think Leonardo DiCaprio wants to hang out in the hood in LA? No. Even though he likes rap music and hip hop, he would never do that. Tom Hanks' son, who is known to be a wigger, would he ever do that? No, because he knows and understands the cautionary tales that come with that. So, who are the type of people that like to hang out with LA gangsters? Well, we can name several. There's Chicago rappers. There's celebrities that, let's say, are gangster rappers from other states. Oh, wow. There's Dubs, man. Shout outs to Dubs. What's cracking? My man, Dubs. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm so hyped right now, man. I am so hyped that my man Dubs just tapped in to my live stream. Oh man, I had Jesse on Fire tap into my live stream. He sent me a super chat. I had Dubs tap into my live stream. I had MMA Holes tap into my live stream. Obviously, Tyann Booth and things of that nature. So yeah, man. So going back to it, just understand this, right? Uh, it's not that of an uncommon practice, but who are the type that want to hang out with these type of guys? They are usually guys that are rappers from other states. Maybe they have a brand name affiliation with them, or maybe not, right? Look, put it this way. If you have a certain mind and you have a certain type about you, you're just the type that's going to go and hang out with these types of guys. And if you do that, they're going to expect something in return. Okay, now why are they going to expect something in return? Well, let's just be honest, right? Are LA gangs really known for, how do I say this? A Scarface type of drug dealing or anything like that historically, other than what's his name, Rick Ross, right? And then Rick Ross doesn't really have a strong hood affiliation, or maybe has several. I don't know, but that's neither here or there. The point is, LA's economy is known for exactly that. Okay, that is what they do. And then if they're not doing that, look at the Pop Smoke situation. They're doing stuff like that. That's what they do. You guys know what I'm talking about with the Pop Smoke situation. He got caught lacking and got ran up on, and as a result, well, that's yeah, man. That's what they do in that part of the world. So Shaquille O'Neal was involved, or allegedly, according to Big U, was involved with these situations. And now here we are with Shaquille O'Neal getting smacked by Adin Ross, which is the most funniest thing in the world, okay? Because, and I understand what Adin Ross is trying to do in this situation, what he's trying to portray. This is what he's trying to portray. Adin Ross is trying to portray this harmless, disarmed little Jewish white boy and smacking up this scary big black dude, and he knows that Shaq is not going to do anything. That's the crazy part about this. Because let's be honest, right? Shaq is a square. Can we agree with that? I mean, that's obviously not news here, right? Shaq joined the police force right after his NBA career. And look, man, I don't judge that on this man or anything like that. It's his life, but I'm just telling you this for educational purposes of understanding Shaquille O'Neal's mind trajectory. So of course Adin Ross is going to do that. Do you think Adin Ross would do that to Big U in person? Do you think he would do that to AD, the guy that he had that little online beef with? He would never do that. So because of that, he's going to do that only to a selective group of people. He does that to preppy white boys. He does that to the Nelk boys. He does that to fighters that he knows are not, about that life. He does that to people that he knows he can get away with. Do you notice when he did content with the Dagestanis that he was very much kind? Okay, he was very kind. You understand? He was very kind, and with good reason. Because what do you think the Dagestanis will do to you if you act up around them? You think they're going to respond in a very cordial manner? You think that these guys are going to play by the rules of America or things of that nature? No, not at all. Not at all. And he knows and understands that. So as a result, he tried his luck. He tried his luck. And he knew that Shaquille O'Neal would not do anything. Now, here's the thing. Would Adin Ross have known that Shaquille O'Neal was going to sue him? I think in the back of his mind, yes. And the reason why is because he's looking at this like, hey, it's Trump change. So, for example, let's say there's a settlement of perhaps maybe like 2 million, right? What's 2 million to Adin Ross? Dude, this guy Adin Ross, he gave President Trump uh what do you call it? A Tesla. This is so weird to me. This is very weird to me, right? Space Juice says Shaq should grow up. Well, you know what, Space Juice? That's an interesting comment there, right? Is it Shaq or is it Adin Ross that should grow up, or both? Let me know on the comment section below. Um, Adin Ross gave Trump a Tesla. That's weird. That is weird to me. I'm going to tell you why that's weird, because it's Trump who should be giving you a Tesla. You understand? And if it was Trump that gave you a Tesla or gave you a car, even gave you a Lamborghini or a Bugatti, that's not that weird. It's not really that weird to get a gift from Trump. But if you're Adin Ross, and I understand you're Adin Ross, a multi-millionaire streamer, but you're giving a multi-billionaire a gift, and that's kind of weird. Space Juice says both. Okay, so that's reasonable right there. Adin Ross hasn't grown up from his teenage angst pranking days that he does as a streamer. And as for Shaquille O'Neal, well, I don't know. I don't know what Shaquille O'Neal really did in this situation, right? I mean, is it because he sued him? Oh, okay. So answer that question, right? Is it because of the lawsuit that that kind of makes him immature in that type of choice, right? Like, was it an immature choice for him to do so? Space Juice says, but that's who Adin Ross is in general. He is a troll. Yes. Okay. Okay. So so here's the thing, right? I told you Shaq is not a gangster type of dude, right? So he can't just go and straight up, punch Shaq. Or I'm sorry, Shaq just can't go and straight, give him a right hand to the face or anything like that. He's not going to do that. Shaquille O'Neal is not going to do that. So what is the next best course of action he's going to do? Is he going to call the police? No, probably not, because how would it look that even though he's a civilian himself, he's still 7 foot tall, you're allowing this kid to smack you, and then you got to go tell the cops about it? It's a little embarrassing. So he does the next best thing, which is give him a lawsuit. And here's the thing, right? Gangsters, at least that I've seen in the hip hop world, they've sued each other over copyrights of music and videos and things of that nature, right? It does happen in that world, but it's like, it just seems like an honorable business procedure more than it would be in Shaq's world, where if he was to call the police on Adin Ross, or better yet, even just go through with his lawsuit. So yeah, I completely agree with you on on some things of that particular level. So yeah, so let's recap all the things that we had talked about for the last 33 minutes, right? And by the way, shout outs to Dubs for tapping in my channel right here. I mean, this is obviously a great honor for me. You know what I mean? To have Dubs, man, the legendary Dubs, man. Oh, man. Dubs tapped into my channel. This is great, man. This is another one of these classic episodes right here. Nah, I just saw the video. Why did Shaq let him do him like that? Laughing my ass off. Ain't no way. Ain't no way it ain't fake. No, it's not fake at all, man. Shaq is a genuine dude. There's yeah, that reaction was real. And that's what Adin Ross does, man. That's what he does. You're right. He's a troll. It's what he does. And yeah, unfortunately, now he's going to pay for it severely. Not with a right cross to the face by Shaquille O'Neal in any kind of capacity, but by the long arm of the law. And by the long arm of the law on the civil side of things. Because obviously, if Shaq was to file criminal charges on Adin Ross, it would be very bad, bro, in his reputation. Even though he's a cop himself, right? Let's not forget, man, Shaquille O'Neal is a police officer. People forget, man. People forget. but he's definitely a police officer. Space Juice says, Shaq let him slap food off his hand and hold his head like a basketball. That's crazy. Playboy says, yo, bro, what's going on, my Playboy? You know, my man tapping in with us right now, man. We have Playboy tapping in with us, Space Juice, and of course, Dubs. James WT, James Dillon earlier, One Love. That's One Love, the screen name. Uban, Brian Riso, Matthew plays Minecraft, Mime 2, and Caleb earlier in the stream. So, yeah, that is who has been tapping into the channel. So, yeah, that is what we got for this particular topic today. We talked about Shaquille O'Neal, Adin Ross, the history behind content creators, right? And why they go and do these things to try to up the ante every time, right? It's what they did. This is what Logan got in trouble for in 2017. He was trying to up the ante, so he decided he's going to go fly in Japan, film a bunch of people that have committed suicide, and then all of a sudden, all his sponsorships, just like that, gone off the face of the earth, gone. Okay? Send Adin Ross to Dagestan and forget. You know what? There's a video of Islam Makhachev and Adin Ross training. I don't know if you've seen that, but Adin Ross wanted to feel the choke of Islam Makhachev and see how long he would last. And yeah, so I don't know if that's much training. Bump 2 says oil up. Nah, not even Dagestan can fix this mother effer. Nobody can fix him, Playboy says. Yeah, that's really real about that, right? Nobody's going to be able to fix Adin Ross because Adin Ross is incentivized to be a jackhole. And that's exactly what happened to Logan Paul in 2017 when he got canceled for the Japan situation. But you know what? The blessing of that is Logan Paul got into combat sports due to that cancellation. Everybody canceled him, all his sponsors. The Rock didn't want nothing to do with him, which, by the way, now that they're both in the WWE, they should make a storyline about that. And speaking of the WWE, guys, I'm going to be covering WrestleMania this Saturday and Sunday, so tap into the live stream as well for that. What is this right here? I don't know why, but Ali Abdelaziz let Islam do that with an interview with Adin Ross. Space Juice says, I'm very surprised about that as well, Space Juice. I'm going to tell you why, because let's just say that Ali Abdelaziz, as an Egyptian, Sunni, Muslim, Arab man, is very suspicious of people of certain persuasions. You understand? And yeah, that I was surprised that he allowed that interview as well. So yeah, I'm very surprised about that too. Space Juice Bump 2 says, me and Adin Ross are, oh my goodness. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but I will keep it up because it doesn't really violate community guidelines, but it's definitely a violation of my sensibilities. Let's just put it like that. Can I see your eagle? Okay, it's eagle spread. Bump 2. That's tapping in the line a little bit, my man. All right, so let's try to keep this a little appropriate, shall we? Playboy says, "Who is next for Taporia, my guy?" Okay, great question. Who is next for Taporia? It's more than likely going to be Charles Oliveira. Okay, because I don't know if Islam is going to take up this fight. And by the way, right now, we're really not going to realistically know until the Bilal Muhammad fight. That's really what it comes down to. We have to wait for the results of Bilal Muhammad and JDM. And I don't even know why Islam would entertain the idea that Bilal Muhammad could lose to JDM. But he says that, you know what, I guess maybe he's trying to avenge that loss. So really, that whole entire fight is predicated on JDM and Bilal Muhammad, the Ilia Topuria and Islam fight. Now, if Ilia Topuria becomes impatient with this whole entire process, then they're going to have Charles Oliveira as an early replacement, right? So in other words, here's Ilia Topuria. I want to get active. UFC says, no, you got to wait for Islam Makhachev. And then Ilia Topuria says, I want to get active right now. All right, we'll throw you in there with Charles Oliveira. And then even worse, maybe they'll throw them in with Arman Sarukian, or I don't know if they want to risk losing that particular fight because Arman could beat Ilia Topuria, and that's a whole other conversation. How about Joe Rogan's interview with Ilia Topuria? I thought that was very interesting. Ilia Topuria talking about his background. Obviously, Spanish MMA is coming up. It's a great sporting culture that they have in Spain, right? Obviously, going back to the days of bullfighting, but then you take it back also to the days of soccer. Man, soccer is an English sport, but the Spanish, man, they made it cool. Okay, just like low riding is yeah, let's just say that low riding was started by one group of people, and then a whole different group of people made it cooler, and then a whole other different people made it cooler, so on and so forth. So it's football, not soccer. Urban Uban Brian Risso says, would you oh man, no, I wouldn't. Would you rather fight a horse? Uban asks, would you rather fight a horse sized duck or duck sized horses? Oh, okay. Interesting question. I guess I'll try my luck with a horse, right? I know the horse could probably kick me once and I'll go flying, but I guess I could try my luck by, moving around it. So, yeah. So, all right, guys, we got about, just a couple more minutes for this quick live stream that we got going on in the morning. What else did we talk about? So Shaquille O'Neal, yeah, his mingling with Big U. Man, I got to tell you, let's address the Big U situation. For those of you that don't know, right, Big U was the former manager of Nipsey Hussle. And when he was the manager of Nipsey Hussle, then he was also accused of sort of unaliving him, allegedly. Right? Well, now he's facing a RICO charge, and he's 58 years old. And the charges they're talking about like 30 years that they're going to pile on him, right? Which means that if he gets convicted, it's damn near life for him in prison. And that's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. I don't want to speak too much on that situation because it's still an ongoing situation. And like what I said earlier in the beginning, right? I wanted to use MMA talking about fighting, talking about geopolitics, talking about local politics as a way to convey a life story for everybody, right? To convey a lesson within these life stories. That's what I'm trying to give to the world, right? Our life lessons, because you want to become beyond just a sport. Most of the time, they want to push this idea of, all right, so bump two, I'm going to have to block you for that one, my man. Sorry. I'm going to put you on timeout for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to make you think about what you have done. So there you have it. Bump two. Sorry. Not sorry. You should be sorry, Joe. Sorry ass. But anyways, yeah. Okay. So I wanted to convey a life lesson to everything, right? And here's a life lesson that we can learn from Adin Ross and Shaquille O'Neal, right? Know what kind of fight you're getting into. Yes, that is the message for this whole entire live stream. Know what kind of fight you are getting into. Damn, R.I.P. Bump. Brother kept it solid, Uban said. Yeah, he did. He did. Know what kind of conflict you're getting into. In other words, if you're going to get into it with somebody who is from the streets, somebody who is about that life, somebody who lives by that code, just understand what exactly you are dealing with. When you want to face these people in any kind of way, you got to understand what you are dealing with when you are dealing with somebody that is willing to sue you. Because I've had some of these types of issues before, right? Where I ran across people that are not about any life whatsoever. They're not about the fight life. They're not about the street life or anything like that. And I've gone after them only to suffer certain consequences, whether that would be lawsuits or getting kicked out of gyms or things of that nature, right? This is a reality of life. So you have to know what you're dealing with and what kind of combat you are facing. Just like if you're going overseas or if you're going into a war torn country or if you're going into a volatile region, you got to know what kind of fight you're getting into. Aiden Ross, I think, knew exactly what kind of fight he was getting into, and that's the message that I'm trying to convey here. As idiotic as he is, he's also a very methodically minded psychopath. Really, that's the reality of it. Uh, Damn, you running fades, man. Back to back, bro. You can lock the locks, but can't stop the locks. Free bump. Yeah, running fades. Yeah, man. That's. I tell you what, man. You ask anybody in Sacramento, in the Stockton or Sacramento area that knows who I am. There ain't one that I ain't ever ducked. Right? You know, since 2007, since I moved out to the Stockton, Sacramento area, there hasn't been many of those that I've ducked, right? I've answered all of them, and yeah, so that's what you got to do. You got to know what kind of fight you're getting into, right? In the streets, I knew what kind of fight I was getting into. In the cage, I knew what kind of fight I was getting into. I've done Muay Thai tournaments. I've done an MMA fight. I've done an amateur boxing fight in New Jersey. I've also done wrestling as a kid. I've competed in Taekwondo since I was 10 years old in a competitive level. So I've always known and understand what type of fights I was going to get myself into in whatever situation. Adin Ross is exactly that. He knew exactly what kind of fight he was getting himself into, and as a result of that, he was able to uh, just get a lawsuit out of Shaq and then monetize off of his misery, or at least Shaq's misery in this particular matter. So, all right, guys, we're going to go for a drive right now. I feel like going for a drive. I'm going to show you guys around Sacramento. Stay tuned, okay? We're going to keep the stream going with uh with a drive around Sacramento and right in the downtown area, and then maybe we'll have a bonus topic or a bonus subject right after the drive. So I would say this isn't the end of the live stream, but I'm going to say we're going into bonus live stream right now. All right, so come follow me. Welcome back, Bump. Welcome back. Come enjoy this ride. All right, Bump. That's another 5-minute penalty on your part. Okay. I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, guys, stay tuned because on a top of the hour, as this stream goes into the 1 hour stream, we're going to do a little bit of a bonus content that may be just a bonus content of 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, who knows. But no matter how long it is, it's bonus content and it's right on top of the hour. We'll see you in a bit. Enjoy this ride out in downtown Sacramento. All right, so we are now in the bonus section of this live stream. As I said, I was going to go about an hour, and this is past the hour mark, so we are now in the bonus stream, or a future video that you're going to see later down the road, and being recorded right now as we speak. So what is the topic at hand? It is Belal Muhammad versus JDM. Straight off the bat, you probably are thinking that, hey, you know what, I'm probably just going to be biased about this, but I just don't see any world where JDM can win this fight, and for several reasons. There's the technical reasons that we could go into, which, by the way, I think is very important to try and understand. But there's also the other aspect of preparation that I don't think Team JDM has going on the way that Belal Muhammad has it going on. Okay, Belal Muhammad right now is with Khabib. That only brings positive results for his career trajectory as a long-standing champion. And certainly the fact that JDM doesn't even have the skill set really to handle Belal in any kind of way, I think that in and of itself is already a loss for JDM. That's already a loss for JDM. But man, it's, what is this? Because in Paris, jorking there. Okay. Shout outs to Bump 2. Well, welcome back, my man. You know, man, this trolling of this guy is absolutely relentless. I got to give it to you, my man. Bump, who do you have winning? Let's end the stream together right now. Who do you have winning, JDM or Belal Muhammad? You got 60 seconds to answer. Because I just don't see a world where JDM is going to be able to beat Belal Muhammad in any kind of way. The wrestling's too good. The preparation is too good. And here's another thing that I wanted to mention about JDM, right? The guy had to set up a GoFundMe to have his whole entire team come to the fight. You got to put that in perspective. Okay, JDM says because he puts, okay, me and, all right, that's a good one. And with that note, we may have to close out the stream on that one, or you know what, we'll just stay and you know, chit chat for a bit, you know, kind of interact and see what is going on in the world of combat sports. That's great to hear. That is great to hear. That is great to hear. Good for you. And you know what you get out of that? A 5-minute rest. 5 minutes of rest. There you have it. See you in 5 minutes. I'll still be on for beyond this 5 minutes. If not, then whatever. But yeah, okay. What else is going on in the world of combat sports that we could discuss? They have the boxing Grand Prix hosted by Turkey today. I don't really know too much about that or what the rules are or the implications. But obviously, you know, they're hard at work when it comes to building a new boxing library of different fights right now. They could possibly get a future contender or a future star out of this, sort of like a Contender Series, sort of like what Dana White does with the Ultimate Fighter and the Contender Series. He also does Looking for a Fight, but that's a little bit different, right? Looking for a Fight is a little bit different than the Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, but it's a different platform. I think there was a thing called Prize Fighters where they tried to do the same thing in boxing before. So yeah, that'll be interesting to say the least, right? Whatever comes up out of that. All right, well, on that regard, that is all that we really have for this one. we went about 1 hour and 5 minutes of this live stream. I think that's good enough for the day. I want to give a shout out to everyone that it's tapped in, that has given a good contribution in the comments. Also, shout out to Dubs, the official Dubs channel. Well, one of his channels at least came in here and shouted me out. So that's always good. It's been a great live stream. Hope you guys have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in my next content, inshallah.